Well, imagine scoring the goal that wins your team the Stanley Cup. It is the dream of every young hockey player. Now imagine doing that in real life, and then the next year you win the cup again, this time because you scored 4 goals in the deciding game. West Vancouver's own Sam Reinhart is at the top of the hockey world right now. He and his Florida Panther teammates continue to celebrate their back-to-back cup wins in Sunrise, and their family is alongside for the ride once again. And that includes Paul Reinhart, Sam's dad, who himself is no stranger to the NHL. Paul is a former Vancouver Canuck and Calgary Flame and has been good enough to join us now from the Sunshine State. Hi there, Paul.
Hey, how's that going?
It is
Nice
going
and
really
warm and humid down here.
I imagine it's a little bit warmer than it is here in Vancouver. But listen, I got to ask you, what has been going through your mind this week? I can't even imagine.
Well, I got off the golf course with Sam this morning, and one of the things that he mentioned was that we were playing with Ekblad and a couple of other teammates, and one of the things that they mentioned was that winning the second one is in many ways harder than the first, just because you know what it takes and you know the sacrifices you're going to have to make. So it's quite a testament to those guys to be able to pull off back-to-back championships.
I wonder if you can take us back to Game 6 for a moment. Tell us a little bit about your experience watching it all unfold.
Well, it's interesting. Game 6 itself, was just an extension of I think how well they played in Game 5 up in Edmonton. They just seemed to have a lot of confidence and swagger, and I didn't feel near as nervous this year going into Game 6 as in previous years. That said, it was extremely gratifying to see Sam score that first goal to give Florida the lead, just because it seems to have changed every team's fortunes when they get that lead. The second one was, of course, thrilling in itself, and the two empty netters are just icing on the cake at that point.
Well, as I mentioned off the top, it's every young hockey player's dream to score the Stanley Cup winning goal. I think we've all done that in our backyard at one point or another. Sam did that in real life last year in that incredible Game 7. And then to score 4 this time around. How do you compare those two career highlights, do you think?
Well, both games were, from his perspective, equate to the same thing, a win. And I would say that one of the things that's very evident about this Florida Panthers hockey club is that they really are all totally unselfish, including Sam. And the fact that he scored 4, I think, is almost a beside the point with these guys. It doesn't really matter to them who scores and who doesn't, as long as they contribute and as long as they win. And that's kind of the feeling that they've generated, or that they've put in place down here in this organization, and that I think speaks for itself, and one of the reasons why they are winning.
One of my favorite parts of every Stanley Cup celebration, on top, of course, of the tradition of the captain getting to lift the trophy, which I think every sport needs to follow. But I digress. One of my favorite parts is the families getting to celebrate immediately with the players. What was that like this time around?
Well, unfortunately, we missed it last year just because of the travel restrictions and timing on our end with very good friends and neighborhood friends who had a wedding going on. We would never have been able to make it back. So there's no way we were going to miss it this year, given the opportunity. Of course, you're always nervous because you don't want to be in a building that when they don't win. That said, when it became very clear that they were going to win this one late in the game, you just start getting extremely excited. And then to go down to the ice, one of the things you don't really think about is when you win it at home like Florida did this year, the fans, packed house, and they stayed in the building. So when you're down there with celebrating with your team, with the players and your kids, it's pretty exciting just to be in that kind of surrounding. And it's you can the excitement and joyfulness that you and sense of fulfillment that you um, you can feel it exuding from the players. I
Mm.
mean, they're just electric, and you certainly know and get a sense of how they must be feeling about the
Mhm.
victory.
Listen, I have to ask you because you're in such a unique position. I know as a player, you're a proud Canadian. You played multiple times representing the Maple Leaf on your sweater, but you also spent your career, of course, in Calgary and Vancouver, two franchises I know that have a lot of animosity when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers. You probably know that a lot of Canadians, though, hoping for the Cup to come back to Canada. Was there any kind of internal turmoil or for you, or when your son is playing on a team, does that just make things
Yeah.
easy?
Listen, I don't really get that whole mentality. I really don't, because there's Canadian players,
Yeah.
and I know that there's a lot of teams with a lot of Canadian players on, and they just happen to play south of the border, and they're only too happy to bring that cup back to Canada in the summertime
Hmm.
on their shoulders. I get the sense of why it's important in a particular city, but I don't under, I'm not really fully appreciating that Canada would get behind a Canadian team as opposed to Canadian players on whatever their favorite team is. So, but I get it, and
Yeah.
it's fine. But trust me, there was nothing torn in our minds at all.
No, I get that for sure. Well, speaking of your playing days, I wonder what it was like for you. I guess either, I don't know when they etched the names on the cup, if that happened late last year or this year. Anyway, of course, Sam's name's going to be on there twice now. What was it like for you to see the name Reinhardt on the cup for the
Yeah,
first
it's
time?
pretty cool. It's listen, if you're not going to win it yourself, I think the best thing, as an ex-player, given a choice between winning it yourself or your kid winning it, I think you'd take the kid for sure. And to win it now twice, frankly, with opportunities, I think down the road for more, it's dream come true. And I certainly know that it wasn't, speaking on behalf of our whole family, not just myself, but his mother and two brothers are just as proud and just as excited to see him do it again, as Sam is himself.